Welcome back to Sports Card Culture Podcast number 9, believe it or not.
They said it couldn't be done.
They said it couldn't. Here we are, number 9. It is December 28th, 2020, almost 2021, John. We're almost to the new year.
Almost there.
Couple days. I'm actually getting out of here and heading to Tampa tomorrow, so I'm glad that we could get this recorded. I'm going to go warm up while you guys continue to
Well, I'll tell you
prove how
another thing.
tough you are as Minnesotans.
I'll tell you another thing with the new year. I am coming up on 1 year of having the keys for the store.
Congrats,
I got
man.
my keys on January 1st.
Seriously?
Yeah.
January 1 is the day that will be official.
Yep.
Year number 2.
1 year from getting the keys, and then maybe 11 months to open it. I opened like February 5th, a weird date.
What? Let me ask you. This is spontaneous. This is the beauty of a podcast. What's some things? 2 things. What's something that you didn't expect that you've encountered in your first year, and then what's been so let's do a positive and a negative surprise. Like like something that you never envisioned having to deal with. Or
Going into the shop, so I planned it for 2 years. My big thing was, how was I possibly going to sell all the wax that I was going to get? How was I going to move all of these cases and cases of wax, and then I would get 0 or 1 box? And I went, oh, how do I get more boxes of wax to sell? So that would be a surprise.
The old dilemma of you realizing I put in. Should I put in 6 in order for 6 cases? What if they give them all to me? Yeah.
Now I ordered 5 cases. I'm like, yeah, I'll get 2 boxes.
But you know the simple answer to that question was you'd sell them to your buddy Clint.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's how you move them all.
Okay.
Anyway, so then, and what's been a surprise? I think I might actually. Can I lead you into this?
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Did you ever anticipate Pokemon being as big of a part of your business as it now is?
No, I did. Pokemon was part of the original plan.
Okay.
Really, I was thinking more Magic.
Because talk to people about, like, you initially envisioned doing a lot of the apparel and some cards.
Yeah.
But now it's literally like Pokemon's become kind of one of the main focal points.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was talking to a customer a couple days ago. He said he wants to open a shop one day, and he's starting to build his business. And I said, when you make your plans, you always write your plans in pencil.
Right.
Because
That's good.
You can't operate without some sort of roadmap.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're driving on the lawn in circles.
Right.
But you go down that path, but you write it in pencil because you want to be able to pivot at any moment.
Recognize opportunity. Just being flexible.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
And so, I mean, Pokemon was part of the plan. Magic was part of the plan. Because if you think about the name of my business, Pop Culture Archives, it's not meant to be a sports card only shop. Sure. It's not meant to be only anything.
It's not meant to be absolute sports.
It's not meant to be absolutely anything, believe it or not.
But everything at the same time.
Yeah. The absolute people had quite a bit of Pokemon in the shop last time I was there. But so, I mean, the goal is to be anything pop culture related. So obviously I was going to carry some of that, but I didn't know a lot about it. I didn't think it'd be more revenue by 3 times more revenue than the sports. That I would have never been able to project.
But part of that has been because you've gotten the allocation of Pokemon, right?
Allocation and was able to catch a following for it. The big crew of people, they like me for some reason.
And would you say, well, obviously, I mean, who doesn't like, what do they call you Pop?
John's
got a nickname. It's called
somebody said it once by accident. I'm like, I don't mind. I've never had a nickname.
It's Pops.
They started calling me Bubbles on Facebook.
Dude, this is like Minneapolis Gangster. This is like Al Capone. Scarface is Pop.
I
know Pop.
I don't know. I mean, once a couple of the shop owners go away, I might be the oldest one. Maybe a couple other ones.
You got a few because you got Calvin down in Apple Valley. He's been around.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
And then you got.
I was thinking of Mark and Rob.
Rob and Mark.
You know, they got a couple years.
Well, and even Pals, he's like 60s.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fair enough. 60s. Okay, maybe not.
Okay, so everyone has to go except for me. I'm the only
always,
1 year older than
I'm always gonna be middle aged. Mike's older than me.
Mike's got you by 10 years. Good try though.
All right.
What up, Mike?
What up, Mike?
Mike's boy just beat me tonight in fantasy.
All right, explain that.
Yeah, so this is a treat. I texted him yesterday. I was like, hey, congrats on second. You know, I literally was like, this is before the Packers game. He has Devontae Adams, but I have Rodgers.
Well, let's start off with something. So the first fantasy year was last year for the shop.
For the shop, yep.
And you had some name.
Absolute.
This year, what was the name of your team? And you won last year.
I won last year, and then I went out on a limb and I named the team Team Repeat. And it was the table was set this year, John. I was in first, and I was ready for team three-peat next year.
And then what happened?
Yep, and then Devontae Adams somehow scored 44 points, and then I still had a 12-point lead, and I had Bills defense against Diggs on the other side, and Diggs put it on him tonight. He had 3 touchdowns, and he beat me by 20. So yeah,
He beat you by 20.
So that was pretty disappointing, man, to come this far. No,
yeah, you came in the
congrats.
shop, and you're like, all right, the Bills defense got to get 2 pick sixes.
The youngest guy in the league, Bradley, he knows his stuff, man.
Yeah, how old is Brad?
He's researching, man. 15.
15,
so,
smoked everybody.
At 15, he's just crushing. So
smoked everybody, love it.
So that was fun. So anyway,
well, anytime you lose, it makes me happy.
How was your Christmas?
Pretty good. We just hung out. Had a day off.
Yeah.
So I had my second day off, Thanksgiving and Christmas Day. So I hung out with Kirby and Annie, and
nice.
Had a good time. Played some Pokemon, played some video games. Annie cooked.
Nice, fun. Yeah,
cool.
You probably slept in. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, but I only slept in until like 11. I've done that a couple times with the shop already.
11.
Like, crap, I'm 9 minutes late.
Yeah, the Christmas Day for me was weird because my parents have COVID. And
they do?
Normally we do our family Christmas like a week into January anyway because my brothers are all with their wives or whatever. So I actually went to the family that I lived with in Jordan and definitely brought some blasters.
Oh, there you go.
We ripped some boxes. It was hilarious. So the boys love cards. They have 5 boys and 1 girl. And they all love opening cards. They all collect cards. They all want to come work at the shop.
Yeah, there you go.
And so I brought a Prism Blaster, like a Rookies and Stars and something else. And I handed out packs. I'm like, whatever cards you get in your pack, you get to keep.
Right.
And guess what I pulled? I pulled the Justin Herbert out of the Prism. I was like, oh, man, I was hoping one of you guys would have gotten this. I was like, who should I give it to? I'm like, well, I'll have to grade it, and then I'll take you guys all.
I was hoping one of you would get it.
Yes.
Wink.
Wink. Oh, wait, I'm going to gem this and sell for $400.
Yeah. Oh, you came back a 7, kids. What is it?
We're going to Culver's instead of. Yeah, so Christmas was good. I actually still have my Christmas coming, so it doesn't even feel like it's over. But we had our first annual employee appreciation Christmas party.
Yeah, how did that go? We came in after.
Yeah, you guys came in. It was awesome, man. We all we did ugly sweaters, gave out some nice gifts, gave the guys bonuses, just told them how thankful we were.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
I think something in business I've learned is like it takes a team. The same way it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a team of people to like make a business. And I told them, each one of them carries a unique skill set, does something different and they connect with different customers, every one of them. Like even Mike and I, that's been a huge blessing of like, and you probably recognize that, like certain people you gravitate towards personality-wise or whatever. So it's been awesome. And I mean, those guys make it work, and it allows me to go fly to Tampa and take a week off and leave Mike back.
All right, so you want to talk about the NBA season, but I got something to start off with.
Okay.
It's going to be a personal apology.
Okay.
So I had a couple boxes of Clearly Donruss. I couldn't move them.
Yeah.
And I really liked the product because in 94 Forest Sport, they had Acticate cards.
Yep.
And I was 16.
Cool. So for those of you guys listening,
clear cards.
Basically anything that's clear. And
clear,
it's almost like
plastic.
they're made out of plastic almost.
Yeah.
It's like
and so I was 16 when they came out. And so I thought they were cool when I was 16, and that imprinted on my brain. So now I'm 42 now, and I still think they're awesome. Well, I was like, well, no, I'm not going to open that stuff. I'm going to sell them. I'm pushing it. And no one's buying the Clearly Done. They're buying everything else. They're not buying that. I'm like, all right. So
you got high on your own supply.
I ripped one, and I pulled a Ja Morant to 49, the rookies.
Wow.
So I was like, that was cool. But I'm not going to rip the other one. So I wait a week, 10 days. I'm pushing. I'm like, I pulled a 49 Morant. You should buy the other box. No one's buying it. So I had one day, and I was like, I got a ton of stuff done. So then I rewarded myself, and I was like, I'm opening this other box. I pull a Ja Morant auto.
Wow.
A redemption. And what's funny is when I pulled it, I thought it was points because I saw the back of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. So I'm sleeving up this stuff. And I'm like, how many points did I got? I'm like, oh, man, right? So then today I did my FanDuel.
Yeah.
And I picked Ja Morant.
Yeah.
And that was too much Ja Morant for me. And then he twisted his ankle tonight. So I apologize, Mr. Morant. I didn't mean to do that to you. Because nothing good happens to me 3 times in a row.
Yeah, it's.
And so.
So you knew that it was running out.
Yeah, I picked him. I was like, I've had good luck with him. He twisted his ankle, so I'm really sorry.
Good news. I did read the article, and the MRI said no break, which obviously is
good.
A huge blessing. I mean, otherwise it's probably a season ending almost.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it
with
might
the
still be a few weeks, depending on how bad. Even
Yeah,
if
it might
it's
still
bad.
be a few weeks. I mean, so NBA first week, opening night,
Yep.
Warriors Nets. Warriors got absolutely embarrassed.
Yep.
The Nets look like I don't know if you know this, but in Vegas, I think to start the season, the Nets were like 1,200.
Were they really?
Plus 1,200, so like 12 to
They were
1
plus 500 when I
to win
thought
the whole
last.
thing. They're less than half that.
Wow.
What an investment. So literally, they came out. Durant and Kyrie looked amazing. They didn't even play those guys in the fourth quarter. It was over. It was over at the end.
Well,
of the
they
third.
had their first 2 games. They won by more than 25 points.
Yeah.
And there was some infographic that went up only 6 other, either there's 6 teams or 6 other teams, and they all went to the playoffs except for one.
I mean, Kevin Durant is in like best player in the world form right now. I mean, he's just does whatever
Very
he wants.
strange.
So, but then they ended up losing their third game. They lost to the Hornets yesterday by 2. So I mean, the NBA is that way though, because if you look, the T-Wolves start out 2-0. And then they get beat by 40 by the Lakers. But first week 1, I mean, let's talk about just a few big performances.
Losing to the Lakers is not really predictive of a whole lot.
No,
So,
but that was
maybe the
pretty.
Wolves will
It was
still
pretty
be pretty
embarrassing.
good. Oh, yeah.
Like 40 is bad. I don't think
And then
Davis was playing.
Towns got hurt. Yes?
Towns
His wrist?
sat, and I think he had a wrist injury at the end of game 2.
Wrist,
Yeah, dislocation.
So here's the thing. This is probably not too interesting outside Minnesota, but who gets all his points? Does the
Edwards,
rookie?
I mean,
Does the rookie
yeah,
get all
I
the
mean, he's
points
gonna get
and
some.
Russell?
He's going to get some, yeah. They're going to be playing a couple guys that probably weren't getting time, too. I mean, they're going to go deeper.
But I mean, who's going to get the big bump, you think, out of Edwards or Russell?
Edwards actually has looked really good. I mean,
I really like
he's
the way he
played
played.
well. Wiseman, I think, though, has still been the best rookie. I just think his game at 7 feet. I mean, I think he hit 5 out of 6 threes to start the first 2 games. It's just unbelievable.
Nuts.
Like, this guy's doing it all. But a couple big performances. One was Trae Young.
Mm-hmm.
Trae Young, first game, scored 37 points on like 10 of 12 shooting. It was like 5 for 6 from 3. Just like as efficient as it gets. Because, sometimes you look at a box score and you're like, oh, the guy scored 37 and he took 20 shots, 25 shots. They literally said something like this was the most efficient 37 points I think ever scored.
Oh, maybe.
Like, or close to. There's like maybe him.
I
and
really
one
like
guy.
that Hawks team. I like Hunter on that team, and I like John Collins a lot.
Yeah, I grew a lot of respect for Hunter. The other day on, I think, ESPN, there was a 30 for 30 on the Virginia team getting knocked out first. The first ever to a 16 seed.
Right.
And then the next year coming back and winning it all. And so it was him, Kyle Guy, the guy that Ty Jerome. Those guys were all seniors the same year. And so it showed a lot of character, and and the coach there is what's his name, Bennett's son from Wisconsin. But anyway, so I was like, yeah, Hunter. I mean, that guy he's been through some adversity. You know what I mean? That tells you a lot about a guy too.
Well, no, it tells you that he's able to bounce back.
Right. It wasn't all just like we weren't just
head.
one. I mean, they were the 1 seed.
Yeah, no, I remember.
I think they might have been the number 1 seed. Because they ran.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Well, I don't think. Do they even do that though?
Yeah, because there's a clear 16 that's the worst. Yeah, that they usually.
No. I mean, out of the 4 1 seeds, is there a 1-1? Is that ever determined?
Yeah, 1-1 through 4. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and they actually weight them based on who then has it. So the best one gets the worst 2.
Oh, fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
So okay. I never realized that.
Yep, for sure.
Learning stuff on the podcast.
So exciting start to the NBA season. I mean, it's been fun to watch some games, just see NBA basketball playing again. And
so so the only one I saw, and I never followed up on him, was there was some early love on KZ Okpala.
Okpala, yeah.
Okpala. Yeah, for the Heat, but that was just after the first game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he was like a Talon Horton Tucker type deal, which Horton Tucker actually played last night against the Wolves because it was such a blowout.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so, he's getting some time, which I think a lot of that's overblown.
Oh, by the way, so when Tucker blew up, I had like 5-card lot. I threw it up on eBay. I get $30. It was auction, 3-day auction. I paid the $1 for the 3-day. And then a guy jumps in at the last minute, makes the last bid, and 10 minutes later goes, I got to cancel. I think you can get more money for this lot.
What?
I want to cancel. I think you can get more money for this. So he was doing me a favor.
Wow. That's very kind of him.
It was very nice of him to do that for me.
He didn't want to capitalize on it himself.
No, because science, probably.
Science.
Yeah, that's usually the reason for everything nowadays. Science. You just say science, and that's why it works.
You know what was interesting for me today is I came into the shop and I had a purchase on eBay. I think it was 17 different basketball lots. I think it was 17 different basketball lots, and it was sent to a company that in their name was grading. So I'm assuming they're going to be grading some cards, which I think we're going to see an increase on that, man. I think there's going to be I would say ungraded basketball lots this year. Like, we have hundreds more to list. Like, right. I'm excited to see, like, we were talking right before we got on, like, Duncan Robinson, we got an offer. I'm like,
might
like,
well.
He's shooting the ball well, obviously.
Yeah,
that's
but
fine,
long term.
Yeah. Well, part of it is they're all still trying to see what's going to happen with the Heat, with, Harden, and there's still some talk about how that's all going to shake down. But, I mean, I'll be honest, I watched the Mavericks, and I don't quite understand the hype around Luka, like MVP talk. Like,
I do.
No.
Oh, I do.
I mean, don't get it.
I don't see it from just a straight scoring standpoint. I see it from him being active, getting rebounds.
Did you watch his first game? He missed his first 6 shots.
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I heard that.
He looked slow. He looked bad.
Right, but I mean, am I going to place everything on 6
But I'll
shots?
say this, but I just want to say this. If you were to tell me I could get Kevin Durant at a 3-1 better payout to win the MVP over Luka Doncic, I'd say
I would take that
too.
too.
Are high.
3-1.
You are on drugs, and that's what it is right now in Vegas.
Oh yeah, I would take
silly.
Durant with that.
Like the love of Luka. I mean, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a top.
But you're not
player.
arguing that he can't be MVP. You're just arguing gambling on the odds that are so lopsided.
You know what it is? It's just like what we see with cards with the Horton Tucker thing. The excitement. It's like it's way overblown. Like, he's not the MVP of the league. It's going to be LeBron or Anthony Davis.
No, that's why I disagree.
Or Durant.
That's why I disagree. He could be the MVP.
I don't think so.
But not at 3-1 off Durant.
Yeah,
no, that doesn't make sense.
Or honestly, Anthony Davis is a monster. That guy
he
is so skilled for a big guy. Like, I don't know if we've ever seen the skill level, the ball handling, the shot making, like outside, inside. I mean, I don't know how you guard him. So I think with LeBron and KD, and AD, you still have 2 of the top 5 players on the Lakers. And they added Schroeder. They look good, man. The Lakers I think LeBron might get 5 this year. I don't know. I mean, it's early, obviously. It's early.
Although I do think the Nets, I would pick the Nets if I had to take somebody.
I think that a Nets, Lakers, Durant, LeBron, with Durant without Curry, and it's his own team kind of thing. Which, by the way, I had a conversation last night. It was
very good team.
I want to get your thoughts on this.
Curry.
What does it say from Kevin Durant's perspective, the fact that he left OKC? They had been to a finals in 2012 and lost to LeBron.
And who's with him, Westbrook or Irving?
Westbrook and Harden. James
before
Harden. Before Harden was Harden as we know him. And Durant leaves OKC, 5 years later. I mean, that to me is him saying, I don't think I can win with Westbrook. Like, I think it's a statement about, like, I literally have to go somewhere else because, like, the way – see,
Westbrook plays a certain way.
Westbrook plays a certain way, and Durant's, I think, he's so good, but he deferred to that and, like, was like, like, he wasn't the alpha on that team.
It is funny, though. I still can't keep Westbrook and Irving straight. Like, if I watched them play, I would know who's who.
Right.
But in terms of names, I'm like, which one is which?
Well, and Kyrie's playing really well, man.
First national – in 17.
Yeah.
And I still can't remember who I was supposed to look for.
Yeah.
But Mike goes, hey, look for a
Ben Simmons, I think.
No. Look for whatever Bradley was collecting.
Oh, Westbrook.
Yeah, go look for Westbrook. Yeah. I started taking pictures of Kyrie Irving, and he's like, why are you sending me these pictures? I'm like, what? That's what you asked me for. I'm like, Westbrook. I'm like, no. The other one. Okay.
Oh, the other Westbrook.
Why.
The Brian Westbrook from the Eagles? Is that what you're looking for?
I was like,
oh, you want the Colorado?
You want the other one. Like, for whatever reason, I flip them constantly.
That's funny.
So it's very strange.
Pelicans look good. Ingram solid. They got a couple
Zion
of
had a good game yesterday.
Zion played well. I think he scored 30 at least once. Cavaliers, though.
I've been getting a lot of offers on Brandon Ingram. I got a 9.5 tricolor.
Oh yeah.
This not low ball offers, but not what I want to sell for. But maybe 6 different people.
They're making you an offer where they know they can make money.
Yeah,
it's still a dealer.
Like I got 150 on it. I've been getting offers between 100 and 120. So they're not bad offers, but like 6 different people have made offers on it. So I would say just based on that small sample size, Ingram's getting at least attention.
I like Ingram a lot. I think people realize too how much sports cards is connected to like the public awareness of a player, and they're going to be playing way more on national television with Zion, and they're going to be better. I think
Right.
you know.
Well, I've made that argument all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Pelicans are on national television all the time,
Yeah.
look at the other guys on the team, because
Yeah.
people are going to go, oh, I don't even know about that guy, or there's Ingram, or a guy I like is Jackson Hayes.
Yep.
You know, and
I'll
it's
tell
like,
you. I'll
I've
tell you
noticed him.
a guy who's selling. Cavaliers are 3-0.
Yeah.
The Cavaliers. Colin Sexton, Darius Garland.
Darius
They got some
Garland.
scorers, man. Those two guys are, some good young talent. Garland, a rookie last year.
Right.
Sexton the year before.
Right.
I actually just picked up from a buddy a Colin Sexton superfractor out of Optic Contenders last year. So not a rookie.
Not a
second
rookie.
year.
Last second. It
But,
was second year.
but I listed it for $1,000. I want to get your thoughts on this. This brings up a topic. I listed it for $1,000.
Uh-huh.
Immediately got an offer for $700.
Yeah.
Took it.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, please disregard and cancel that offer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, does he have a 101 listed and he wants a comp on eBay? Because
Yeah.
we talked about this. You got that comp now on Hardaway, which you're like, oh, that's going to help me. But does it not help you when yours is
right.
relisted?
That does happen quite a bit, where people are making offers. No, the 101's a little weird. I do think there's a lot of, like, people who want to be players, and they get that immediate rush of winning the card, but then that dread sinks in that they actually have to pay for the card. I do think that happens.
Okay.
But there is a lot of people setting comps for cards that they have.
Yep.
I mean, if I got a 101 second year Sexton of a different price, that's kind of a weird one.
Now
to do.
here's the problem too is like, and this is for those of you guys out buying. Like we've talked about this a lot about the quantity, the volume of a card traded establishes the market of it more.
Yeah.
It solidifies it. The danger in some of these comps is you don't know if they got paid for. You know,
Well, a lot
and
of
I wish
times-
there was a way that eBay could disclose
Right,
that.
but there's a lot of times when I'm sure. One of the things I do a lot with my customers, I show them how to value their cards.
Right.
So when we go on eBay,
Yes.
I have the laptop right next to the counter, so I'm showing them what I'm looking at. I'm saying,
Yes.
okay, that's a bad comp. That's an outlier because it's too high. That one's too low. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, if it's too high, it probably didn't get paid for it. And if it's too low, the seller probably didn't ship it.
Yep.
So because they're just too far away from
Or
the
it was on a high one, it was a pure scam. Even if
or
it
it's
did get
money
paid for, it might have
laundering,
got
or
shipped.
it's all sorts of different things. But the low ones, too, aren't getting shipped out. For
Which,
the most
by the
part.
way, can we bring up money laundering for a second? I had a guy today who
Yes,
mentioned,
we can.
as a joke, we have a Jose Uribe 1990
yeah.
Fleer on our front case
Yeah.
for $2. They're like, $2? You could probably get $2 for that. I'm like, it's a 20-cent card, but I'd love to take $2 for it.
20-cent card.
Don't you think it's worth 20 cents?
It's like 10 for a penny.
Okay, it's 10. Well,
It's a
I mean,
bulk lot
but
comp.
if
I
you
mean,
got-
not really.
But you have to go pull them. So, like, I wouldn't actually list it for less than 20 cents.
Well,
Because
what I'm saying is, like, if I had cases of 90 Fleer, I wouldn't even look for them.
No, right. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even. I don't even pull them out of comments.
And we sell those lots 10 for a penny.
But so if you guys aren't listening, you're like 90 Fleer Jose Uribe. What's the deal? Well, there's been a bunch of them listed.
well,
and
there's
supposedly
one guy
sold.
who did it.
Yeah.
Who put it for $1 million on eBay.
Yeah.
I think.
And there's still some listed for like 50,000.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look right now actually. But wasn't the
And
the
it
talk?
started becoming
Yeah.
a thing. It started becoming a joke, and then other people kept doing it. And then all of a sudden, people were getting real, like, $5 sales on a card that's 10 for a penny.
Right. So like right now on eBay, there's a guy who's got one listed, and he's got like error in the title for $92,000.
Error. Oh, that's right. It was an error.
Another guy's got one PSA 9 listed for $45,000. Like this is just now. Here's
Yeah.
the worst part, John. And if you haven't had this conversation yet, I'm just warning you and preparing you for it. I had a guy come in one time and tell me, I got $100,000 worth of cards.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. I get the call. I'm like, wow, this guy's got some cards, right?
Yeah.
And you know what he handed me?
What?
Like 2 ungraded Jose Uribe.
He did not.
Yes,
and
he
he
did.
was
And
serious.
he goes, this is what they're selling for on eBay. I said, this is what they're selling for. I said, there's a big difference between someone listing it and selling. He goes, well, why would someone have it on there if it's not worth that? I go, because you can list anything for any price on eBay.
What, but
He was upset with me, John,
He
that
was
I did not
authentically upset.
affirm. And I told him, I said, I'll sell you some for $2 a piece, and you can sell them for $45.
Yeah, right.
Which at that point,
And that would have
realized,
demonstrated, like, I got $2 on it. Here you go.
Yeah. Like
You know?
literally, I actually have one. Which shockingly enough, I never would even. Price
Actually,
that
the
card.
way I would have really illustrated the point, I would be like, I have one. Here you go. You can have it for free.
Now this is where
Now you can't be mad at me because I gave you a $50,000 card for free.
That's true. Now this is where things get weird because that card got listed for $50,000.
Yeah.
What do you think a PSA 10 on that card actually
I bet it's
$100.
$100.
It's $130.
Yeah, dude, that just surprised me a little bit.
It's become its own thing.
It's a meme.
It's
a meme. That's what it is.
You know what else it is? It's the 1990 Hoops Mark Jackson, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but with a little different twist.
But
but it's iconic.
No, I get that, but the Uribe was completely made up out of somebody's brain. He just picked a card that had an uncorrected error, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was just.
And then he was like, put $1 million on, ha ha ha. And then the thing is, I can relist a card for free. You get 50 free listings on eBay. I can do that for years.
This is a random parlor game question connected to this whole topic. Right. So obviously the big famous card, the F-face card from Billy Ripken. Rick face. So Billy Ripken's got the F-face error. There's literally like 6 variations. The white scribble's the rarest. That's the one you want.
Yeah.
The black box is the lowest.
But the best one is the uncorrected error.
You want the one that actually says it, or the white scribble's worth more.
Right.
But it's hard to find. So let me ask you this: in an auction setting, what do you think if someone could locate that actual bat? What is that bat worth?
Ooh, what is the bat worth?
What's the actual bat worth?
I bet the bat is worth. Thing is, it's not as much as I want to say. It's one of those ones where you're like, that's all it went for. Because you're instantly going, it's $100K. It's not $100K.
It's got to be.
No,
I think it's more.
No.
I think it's more.
No. I think that's one of those ones where we think that, but when it goes up for auction, you go, oh, I bet it's worth like 12.
No.
Yeah.
You know why? I think there's a whole bunch of collectors that have a lot of money.
Yeah.
That would love to have bragging rights
I don't
to
think
that bat.
I don't think it's $100,000. I think it seems like it should be.
Actually, we were talking in the shop. I'm so on the opposite spectrum. I think it could be in the right auction setting with 2 guys with deep pockets. I think it could be $500,000 to $800,000. That bat. Because think about this for a second. That bat is by far the most iconic error card ever.
I'm gonna
and actually, Billy Ripken is more famous for that card than his playing career, or being Cal Ripken's brother.
But here's the thing: I'm gonna agree with all the evidence that you're giving for that price. I'm just feeling like, because I'll look at it,
you just don't think people will actually pay for it.
No, but that's one thing. I've seen auctions where I'm like, how did that only go for that much? It's worth way more than that, but obviously not.
Yeah.
But it seems like it should be. But then I don't live in that world, so it's like It's like,
and here's what you also don't realize. There's some super...
You got a point on the card collectors, though.
There's some super collectors on that card. There was an article, actually, in the Beckett magazine about a guy who has every error. He even has, like, some sort of press-proof, like, almost like a plate template of it that's 101.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say this much. There's actually PSA 10s on that, selling for hundreds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine the actual bat. I mean,
I don't know, 6 figures. It seems like it should be worth that much. But remember, my premise was it seems like a bat that should be $100K, but then I don't think it is.
I actually do, and I don't think it's going to be bought by a collector of like game used bats. It's
not
a bat
it's going to be
guy.
bought by a card collector. That's a good point.
It's a different person. You know what I mean? It's not the bat guy. But anyway, that's a fun part.
All right, so I got a little story here.
Yes.
So I bought a large.
I like stories, John. That's why I'm here.
Bought a large football lot. It was a really fun lot to buy. At first, I looked at it, and it was all autographed rookie football cards. Nice. All of them from like 2011, 2012. And they were all rookies. They were all autographed. And I looked through it, and it was every bust you could ever think of. But it was like epic stuff. It was like national treasures. It was triple threads. It was
super nice patches, low numbers.
Patches are unbelievable. 25. There's like 4 101s in there.
Wow.
And it was like 420 of them, and I was like, I'll give you $300.
Yeah.
Because I'm just looking at it like but it tells you there's different ways to analyze a lot.
Yeah.
So he's looking at it, considering it, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I think that's low, but then I couldn't justify it myself to give him any more money.
Well, and let me ask you this: was there any like one card in there you're like, oh, that's $100?
Yeah, there were 2 AJ Green rookies that were nice.
Okay.
But they were like 60 each.
And honestly, he doesn't sell for as much as he should.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, his market's actually pretty.
And so, but then what happened was I said, wait a second, because all I did was flip through the cards, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, wait a second, how many cards are there? And when we went through it, there were 480 of them. I was like,
oh wow.
I was like, oh, I can give you more than $300. Because an autograph card is a buck a piece.
Buck a card.
Like,
Yep. Minimum buck.
All day, right?
Yeah. You can
So I'm
wholesale.
like, okay, hold on. So I said, I got to wrap my head around this. So we counted out the cards, and I ended up giving them $1.40 a card.
So what?
So to compensate for it was like $700.
Okay.
So I barely raised my price. When I make an offer, that's my offer for the most part. But I had completely not thought about this lot correctly, and so over double what my original offer was. Yep. But then I was accounting the $140 for how nice the products were. Yep. But then there was some AJ Greens in there and stuff.
And how many of a lot would you say you anticipate being able to list on eBay? Like
almost. I already know that answer. Like 40.
40 of the 480.
40 of the 480, less than 10. Well, that's why I made that's why I said 300. I'm like, this is all gonna go in my autograph box. Yep. That's gonna be $2. Like,
right.
This isn't great. But then I didn't realize how many there were, and then I didn't establish well, there's a minimum price to this. I can get $480 for it if I just gave it to somebody, you know.
Yep.
But one of the things I didn't realize, I was looking through the lot and processing it. And I'm like, I'm going to auction some of the stuff off. I'm going to auction the 101s off and just get some of my money back. Because I'm still at the point where 700 is kind of a lot of money.
Yeah, you're like, 700 is a lot of money to me.
So I go looking up.
Should be a lot to
No, fair enough. I go looking up, and so there were 7 Aaron Hernandez autograph rookies in there.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm going to lot all these up.
What was the best product or card of them? Was there some on card? Like, was there a National Treasures?
No,
because he was 11. I think
there was a Letterman. There was a Letterman patch.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm gonna lot all these up and just run it. And I go to look him up, and he sells.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm absolutely. I thought maybe I get $30 for all 7 of them.
Yeah.
The minimum price on it's $30. I got 70 for the Letterman.
Wow. Let me tell you.
Who's buying these cards,
hey,
Clint?
Let me tell you a story. The day he committed suicide, we had a customer come into the store asking for him. I was like, oh, man.
And did you pick his brain at all as to?
To be honest, I told him I didn't really want to sell him any cards, even if I found them. I kind of wanted to throw them away. I didn't want to glorify. I mean, I would not sell a Darren Sharper card. Darren Sharper, it goes in the garbage. Absolutely, 100%. Hernandez, I mean, I know there's a point of okay, what if somebody is a set collector and they actually need this? But now if they're actually collecting him because he killed people. There's a group of people that
or because he's dead.
Yeah, it's too.
Well,
now, if he died tragically, like Pat Tillman, was a veteran.
But here's
awesome.
where I land on it. One, I wouldn't throw him away. It was just some bull.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with you selling them. I mean,
and so I wouldn't throw them away because they are set collectors and if I'm putting together a 70 whatever top football set, I'm gonna get the OJ. I mean, that's what
absolutely.
it is. And I believe OJ killed him, so I'm not thinking he's innocent and I'm doing it. I'm thinking he's probably guilty and I'm still buying it.
Right.
But the way I looked at it was more people that collect Nazi memorabilia.
Yeah.
And it's I'm a massive history guy.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that. I believe that destroying history is extremely dangerous. The act of destroying it is an extremely dangerous thing.
Sure.
So the way I put it on is I don't want to touch the stuff. Mm-hmm. Thank to the other guy for doing it.
Sure.
And for whatever reason, because most people that collect that stuff aren't Nazis. They don't. They
could actually.
They're Americans.
They could be Jewish even.
Oh, there's a lot of Jewish collectors in Nazi memorabilia.
And it's a way of them honoring the people that.
Right, and so I don't really know the motivation, but it's thank you for doing it, so I don't have to do it. So I did a week auction and get the hell out of my store. I have no interest in holding on to.
Well, let me tell you my first awareness of to the point of there's also some really sick people that collect some really bizarre.
Oh
things.
yeah.
And the first time I became aware of this is back when you and I met. I was buying storage units, and I bought a unit at one point that literally was half of it was serial killer memorabilia.
That's a big one.
Books, movies. It was so I took it to my parents because I would always take stuff to the dumpster there. And I'm like, Dad, this stuff's really dark. I just want to throw it away.
Yeah.
And I literally take it out to, they have a fire pit going where we burn trees that are dead. We just throw them in this pile. We burn it. And it burns for a week during the middle of the winter.
Yeah.
And I'm unloading the stuff into the fire. And he's like, oh, you want to just throw it in the dumpster? I'm like, no, this stuff needs to literally. Right. Because it was horrifically gross, Well, so anyway,
I
was
said,
wow, this person's obsessed with death. It's weird. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. like I said, I'm a big history guy.
Yeah.
So 8th grade or whatever grade it is when you take American history first time,
Mm-hmm.
I read the textbook in like a month.
Right.
Because here's the thing about American history,
Mm-hmm.
it's a great story.
Yeah.
Like, all my friends are like, history sucks. I'm like,
No.
I'm trying to figure out what happened next. Like,
Well,
I couldn't believe it.
And the question is, when history's presented, I think this is the distinguishing factor. Is it glorified and celebrated, or is it demonized for what it is? When it's deserving of being.
I think history should be seen as what it was and not with any sort of tilt to it. But my point being, like, when I got to the wars, I lost all interest.
Yeah.
So when I get to the Civil War, I start reading about the Wild West.
Yeah.
I know who won. That's all. War is so.
Yeah.
So war is like you and I have a disagreement.
Yeah.
I think side A is right. You think side B is right. I beat you up.
Yeah.
That means side A is right. That's a logical fallacy.
Well, and let me say something.
side A is not right because I beat you up.
Let me tie this
Just
back.
Just like side B wouldn't be right if you beat me up. Like, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard.
Well, and let me tie this back to sports cards. Interesting to think about the fact that World War II happened and was basically a pause on the creation of sports cards. Because if you think about it, so you have like the 1940 play ball sets.
Mm-hmm.
You have a couple in 41, I believe, some smaller sets.
Yep.
And then you literally don't have any sets being made again until
50.
there's a couple in 48, a couple 49, Leaf and Bowman.
Yep.
And then you have 50 Bowman, 51 Bowman, and then 52 tops. Now, 50 had like a black and white top set. But like literally, so you almost have a 10-year period that the country was so like we're not making we're in war, Which it's interesting to think that a bunch of these athletes like Ted Williams, literally missed out on 4 years of his prime to surf, So
yeah, it was you're right in his prime.
You forget that. You're like, oh, why is there this huge, is that ever going to happen again, or is there going to be a time where we don't have sports cards? 'Cause, you know what I mean? It's
it's possible, probably unlikely. But yeah, so that was an interesting lot that I bought. But I really enjoyed going through the lot because even though the vast majority of cards are $2,
mm-hmm.
I had like a Jake Locker in my hand that was a $250 card.
Who were the one-on-ones?
Nobody good. Anthony Dixon is one of them that I remember.
Do you think they were bought by team collectors, one-on-ones of a certain team?
Probably.
Because I found this when we bought.
They didn't go for very much.
So we bought a big lot of Vikings autographs this fall, like 6,000 autographs, and by far the biggest we've ever bought. And there was literally 100 to 200 Moritz Boehringer autos. And like these guys who, and I was like, there was a few one-on-ones on. I'm like, and we listed them, and they sold within a week or two.
The Bollingers might be
for like 75 to 100. Well, but I think it's more than that. I think there's Vikings guys who are like, I just want any Viking 101, like a patch, and even if the guy's like.
Well, there's something to be said. Like if you wanted to be a real budget collector, like a really budget collector, and have a baller collection, you buy thick patches, low numbered, autographed of just all the busts, and you will have the most beautiful yet confusing collection. Yeah. Because I've seen like 4-color patches of
like Johnny Manziel. Just go buy a Johnny Manziel. You
buy it for $8.
You could, and you know what else? You could go buy a card that you could probably find a comp for like $5,000.
Oh yeah.
And buy it for $10.
Oh yeah.
You're like, wouldn't that be cool too? To like
go back in time.
I actually know the guy who owns now, and you met him at the National. The guy who owns the Steven Strasburg 101. That was that big chase card.
Yeah.
And he's actually tracked the timeline on the card, and literally cool. Every time it's sold for less. It's been the exact opposite of like a lot of these other iconic cards. Right. Like the Honus Wagner is always sold for more. This card's just everyone's just like getting out of it and like it's falling.
I'm gonna take my loss.
It's like he didn't tell me what he bought it for the last time, but he's like I'm never selling it because he loves the history of that card and like how it shaped the Bowman kind of craze.
Well, actually, wow. Because this leads right into something I got written down.
Wow, it's like it's
so on a previous podcast that was not planned. I was about to say, well, that card now might start appreciating in value because of how notorious it is.
Sure.
So we had talked about the
notorious. No, I'm just kidding. For all those hip hop guys, notorious. No.
Anyways, so the Gretzky Honus Wagner.
Yeah.
So we had talked about. I actually looked it up. Yes, PSA 0000001 was the first card graded.
Wow.
Bill Mastro
Yep.
Admits to trimming it not being part of the trimming in federal court.
Yep.
Right before he got sentenced for 20 months in jail.
Wow.
He was part of he had an auction company where there was a systematic shill bidding going on.
Mm-hmm. Weren't they in Illinois?
Yeah.
Chicago, right?
Yeah, the Chicago area, but not Chicago proper. And so, but so then I'm reading this other article, and it leads right into that. It says that, now that the number 1 PSA card, the Gretzky Wagner, so there's a better Wagner out there.
Yep.
There's an 8. But they're saying that the argument is that the Gretzky Wagner will probably still appreciate at the same rate as the better Wagner because of how notorious it is.
Yep, even though it's true.
And so there's such a big story behind it, such a big history behind it. It's not going to rise in value because people believe the grade on it, but because of the story. Gretzky owned it. It was part of a federal pro.
The other guy owned it too. The owner of the Diamondbacks owned it.
Yes,
with him. Yeah.
yes. And so what's funny is Mastro, I looked at this when I was doing the research, he was part of the first 3 sales.
Wow.
In 1987, 1991, and 2000, he was part of it the whole time.
Makes sense.
Which is...
Now think about this. This actually connects to a documentary I just watched the other day. The other day on, I think, Hulu, I watched a deal on like the Cuban drug war. Like it's like the whole cartel narco like drug battle, right? And there's been a bunch of these famous like drug dealers where they've busted, these guys in their houses. They've had this extravagant lifestyle, and they go up for auction, all this guy's personal items.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, because they came from this guy's collection, let's say the guy had a Rolex.
Right.
And the Rolex generally is worth $10,000. Because it's connected to this guy,
Yes.
it could actually be worth like double that, or
right.
So it's like
whatever the
this,
premium is.
Like in other words, and that was to my point on the Billy Ripken bat is like it's the it's the provenance of owning the like for example.
Well, the Ripken bat was very much a parlor game. It was like we don't know the answer.
But do you know like even like the car Tupac was killed in? I think it was a Mercedes or whatever, went up for sale. It's worth it was sold for like $3 million.
Yeah.
Like because somebody wanted and like even I want to say the Bronco that Simpson drove, the white Bronco was recently sold.
But then sometimes there'll be like houses that are kind of tarnished where like they can't move the house.
Yeah, they can't.
Something about living in it.
Yep.
Bothers people.
Yep.
Or
if like the crime, see like the Bronco wasn't where the crime was committed.
Right.
It was like it was the famous like.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to
yeah,
live in the Bronco
exactly,
either.
Right.
So,
but there's people that collect like famous vehicles like that.
No,
too,
but that's history.
Yeah, it's history.
It is what it is.
No, it's cool, man. So to Mastro, did you find anything about? So do you know anything about when that other graded Wagner that was higher? How much later it was graded? It wasn't part of the same find.
No.
Was it? Okay.
No. I just saw that there was a better one out there.
So PSA literally decided. We're forming, and were they forming to grade that card?
Well, I don't know the history of that, but there was, and I've seen this many times. I can't verify it to be 100%, but that one of the graders knew that it was trimmed when they graded it.
Sure.
And so there's all sorts of weirdness around that card in general. So I don't think it was formed to grade that card, but I do think when they were forming the company, they were like, well, let's try to make the first card we grade a baller card.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. So I got another thing. Mm-hmm. And so, people do what they want to do, but I was playing DraftKings.
Yep.
And so far I've spent $100 in 4 months.
Okay.
I've won a few games here and there.
So daily fantasy.
Right. So I play like $3 games. For the whole day, I play one $3 game, and I play it where I can win like $50,000. So, then sometimes I'll do a couple or whatever, but at very low stakes. I know it's for fun, it's to make the game more fun.
Entertainment. Yeah.
So I need to put a little bit more money in. So I type it in, and I think I was talking to a customer or somebody, and I click enter, and my wife's name had auto-populated in a spot, and so it was like it didn't match, and I'm like, okay. So I put in my credit card number again. I put my name and all the stuff. And so I enter in a couple games, and then I go to check it, and the money's back to normal. I'm not in any of these games. I'm like, what's going on here? So I try to enter another one. It says your account's been blocked, right? So I go to look it up, and it says they're blocking my account because more than one person cannot fund an account. And I'm like, okay. So I sent them an email like, And I explained what happened. I said,
so what they're trying to protect against identity theft.
I don't know what they're trying to do.
It's you can't steal someone's credit card and fund your account with it. It's the point.
No, I don't think so.
It has to be.
No, I don't think so. I think it has to do with the account has to belong to one person. And I don't know why, but there's got to be something to that because they never.
Oh, you know why? It's taxes too.
Maybe
if you win.
Okay, fair enough.
Who do you split up the W10?
Right, and so that might be. I'm not sure the reason. So I send an email. I'm like, hey, put it back. This is what happened. And I get an email, and they're like, well, we're gonna need your driver's license, and you're gonna have to respond saying that you understand. Respond like by email that you understand that not more than one person can fund the account. So I'm like, I send that driver's license, I take a picture, send it, and I said, hey, I explained what happened. There wasn't an issue of more than one person funding the account. It auto-populated.
Nice.
And the customer service said, this is a real live person, by the way.
Yeah.
Goes, yeah, I understand. You have to respond to me and say that you understand that not more than one person can fund the account. So I'm like, give me my money back. I'm not doing DraftKings anymore. Like, what is this weird, like, I'm going to make you my whatever and make you say things to me, which is not a binding contract anyways. And he's like, he dug in his heel. I'm like, I'm not doing DraftKings anymore, so now I'm on FanDuel. And what sucks, I'm really being punished because DraftKings has a much better interface than FanDuel does.
Yeah.
But they didn't piss me off, so I'm on FanDuel.
Well, it's interesting. I just got a flight to go to Vegas in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? The 23rd, no, 3 weeks. And we're going to the new sportsbook at Circa. This one's the big outdoor one.
Okay.
But, like, it's interesting now, like, FanDuel and DraftKings are vying to put their name on these sportsbooks.
Yeah.
So, like, do you remember? So we're talking about going to Diamond Joe's for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that's a FanDuel sportsbook there.
Oh, really?
So FanDuel's name's on it. Like, if you go use the kiosk, it prints it off as FanDuel. Because FanDuel
it's like
is the
naming
one,
rights for stadium.
And FanDuel is the one who's generating the lines and stuff, I think. And then, like, Diamond Joe's isn't.
So basically FanDuel is licensing their name to Diamond Joe's or to the different casinos.
And I think they're offering the software and for sure. Like, they're the back.
So that way Diamond Joe's doesn't have to create their own
they don't have to have handicappers there. And
system.
Clearly. I mean, like a big sports book in Vegas is going to have a handicapper and guys making lines, whereas these guys are just taking the lines from Caesars or.
And just to be clear, Diamond Joe's is a small casino over the border in Iowa.
Yeah, what, Mason City or something, or it's not even in
Clear Lake-ish. Yeah.
So
Mason City would be about right.
It's about 2 hours from here, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that'll be. But I remember.
But that's interesting.
I've only been in there once, and it said FanDuel Sportsbook.
But you told us about where you're going. Explain to everybody about how you hang out there.
Yeah, so
in Vegas.
So my buddy's like, he's been there, and he's like, dude, we want to go for the AFC NFC Championship weekend. And the way it works is like, there's a huge sports book. You walk out of the sports book, and there's this massive. It's the largest outdoor like pool with these huge flat screen, like huge screens. Basically, it's like a drive-in movie theater, but it's like hot tubs and pools that you can watch the games.
So you hang out in the hot tub and watch the game?
You can hang out in this, but it's like a hot tub the size of a pool.
That's nuts.
With this huge screen, and then you could just like walk over and make your bet, and like it's gonna be pretty fun. So like he's like, dude, this is by far the best place. And if you don't stay there, it only costs $10 to go use this.
Oh, really?
So you don't have to stay. Like some places,
you don't have to get the hotel.
You'd have to be at their hotel, and it's like super expensive. Well, I have free rooms that weekend at the Venetian.
Oh, that's nuts.
So yeah, it should be fun. I'll tell you how. I'll come back.
Yeah, let me know. Like, I don't know how I feel about stewing in a hot tub with a couple hundred people.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty spread out, but I mean, yeah, you kind of,
I'd be looking around like, I don't know if these are the people I want to bathe with.
Nice.
I don't know. You never know. Maybe.
Should be a fun weekend, though. I mean, the NFL is going to be interesting. I mean, let me talk to you about that. Who's your pick right now in both NFC, AFC, NFC?
I'm gonna have to go with. I would have said Eagles or Seahawks at the beginning of the year for NFC.
Yeah.
As much as it hurts me to say it, maybe Green Bay.
That's me too.
I don't like the way this makes me feel on the inside.
Well, not only that, I think right now, if you had to pick an MVP, I think Rodgers gets it over Mahomes. I think he has 44-4.
Now here's the question:
I think Mahomes has like 37-7 or 6 or so. He threw 2 picks or a pick yesterday. So I mean,
now here's the question: can the Bills take over the Chiefs?
It's going to be. I think it could be a really.
You think
good
that's
game.
the championship game?
I think that's the championship game. I think the Steelers have just completely fallen
Yeah,
apart.
I don't. Steelers
I
not
don't
in
know
the
what's
mix.
going on. I think they had an easy schedule early on. I think their defense has some problems.
Maybe won a couple they shouldn't have.
The Bills seem to be trending at the right time.
Right.
I still think it all goes through Kansas City in the AFC. And in the NFC,
NFC's wide open.
the NFC though, I think
Who are the other teams that we
it's the
thinking
Saints.
about?
It's the Saints.
Saints, no.
Hey, and the Bucks, dude. I love Tom Brady.
I would love to see the Bucks in it. I would love to see
I would
Tom
love.
Brady in
I
it.
would love to see a Brady's Rodgers NFC
Well,
championship.
how about
game,
this? I would love to see Brady win it all, just so I can go to the National and just listen to all the Brady stuff.
I love Brady.
Holy smokes!
Can
you imagine?
I just have such a man crush on Tom Brady that it's just
Oh
like,
man!
I literally couldn't envision a better match. Well, and think about it, Brady, Mahomes, right? The old, the
Right,
young,
right.
the two. Like
I
if
think
that
those two matchups are good.
that Super Bowl would be the best for the NFL. Like
think-
they would love that.
I think all four of those teams, no matter how you mix it up,
Yep.
it would be an interesting matchup.
Well-
You could have Mahomes, Allen, the two young guns going in, two old guys. You
guys.
could have a mix of the two.
Well, and
either
think
way.
about it. Think about what we're talking about right now. When we're talking about all these teams, we're literally talking about the 4 or 5 best quarterbacks. In the
Right,
NFL. That's
right.
the way. I mean, the NFL. It's like you're not doing it with Trent Dilfer very often. Trent Dilfer,
happens.
Joe
Brad
Flacco.
Johnson.
They only do it every 10 years. Which, by the way, I was talking to my buddy Wyatt,
Yeah.
and he said to tell you, John, Matt Ryan is not a prospect anymore. So you can't prospect with Matt
I'm not
Ryan
prospecting.
12 years into his career. So we're gonna
Wyatt. Hey Wyatt.
We're gonna axe the 12-year prospect on Matt Ryan.
Hey Wyatt. You need to listen to the podcast from the first minute to the last minute because that wasn't my argument.
The Matt Ryan. I love it.
So I got a question that got
And I
brought
have a
up.
story, though.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got a question that got brought up by. Well, this will be a real fast one. About famous people that collect.
Yeah.
And just, I was curious what you knew off the top of your head. I didn't do any research, but I got Vandercheck, obviously.
Yeah.
Dan Patrick was the big collector, and Pat Neshek, our hometown guy. He's more of a collector of autographs, but he collects cards quite a bit.
Now I'm going to say a couple, but one of them who's literally, I think he's done more for the hobby as a former player is Phil Hughes, who runs Phil's Polls.
Yes.
So he has a huge following, and he's in a lot of ways like the spokesperson for
athletes.
Well, he's like making cards cool for people who actually, you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
this kind of
most
crossover,
athletes would be like, oh hey, they had these things like Top would be like, oh here's your card.
Which,
Did
by
you
the
ever
way-
collect cards? And like I don't care about cards. I'm good at sports. You know.
A buddy just told me a cool story. I think there was an article about this. I have to go find it. But an announcer said to LeBron James, hey, one of your cards just sold for
Yeah,
1.8 million.
I told you that.
And he goes, I own 3 of them or something, right?
No,
He goes,
he got put on Twitter, I think.
yeah. He commented on it.
And then it posted, and he goes, did he
I
say, I know somebody that has 2 of these? There's something to that effect, like real tongue-in-cheek.
yeah. Like, he's like, I invest in myself.
Yeah.
Which is just
no.
total baller. Like, hey, I believe in myself. Obviously, you should.
Yeah, I'm
you know.
sure his rookie year, he had people like, go get me a handful of all the best ones.
Yeah.
And then...
So here's a couple other guys I know. So 2 years ago, I did the Chicago show. Not the National. It's at the same location,
Yeah.
but it's upstairs. They do a fall and a spring. I was actually on the way to the one this last spring when they closed down everything for COVID.
Right.
Previous year, I talked to a dealer across the aisle who earlier that day sold a 52 Topps mantle to Roger Clemens.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like he's like telling me this story, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I sold another card to Uncle Raj." And he's telling
Raj.
me, I'm looking at him like, "Am I supposed to know Uncle Raj?" Like, and he's like, "Yeah, this time I didn't even ask him for a photo or anything. Or, he signed some things for me." And
He's
I'm
just
like,
name
I'm
dropping,
like trying
but you
to
don't
like
even
put
know who
this
you're
thing
talking
together.
about.
I'm like, "Who's Raj?" He's like, Clemens. I'm like, "Oh, like how was
That
I
guy
supposed to know
sounds
that?"
insufferable.
Yeah. I'm just like, wow, this is a treat.
Like it took you 5 minutes to name drop that thing. Thank you, I appreciate
Well,
it.
and then another one I saw, the Joe Orlando, who's the CEO, president of PSA, posted on
yeah.
Twitter a while ago that Fred Couples, the golfer,
Oh yeah,
brought a bunch of his cards to PSA to get graded, and he collects like vintage baseball.
yeah, that's really cool.
But then,
I think there's a lot more than we think.
and then I'll tell you a couple other connected to us. So another one is Tom Hanneman, who actually just passed away 2 weeks ago in Minnesota, was the announcer, Fox Sports North,
Right.
did like the post game for the Timberwolves.
He took like Herbeck. He was like Herbeck's job after the Twins game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he came into our shop the first 3 months we were open. And Mike and I had a long conversation with him, and he came in. He's just looking around. We started talking to him. I'm like, man, I recognize this guy's voice. He's got a very distinct, like Kevin Harlan type.
Paul Allen came in.
For
He's
sure.
like, what the heck?
Like I've heard that before. I just don't know where. And we ended up talking to him, and he's collected a lot of high-end basketball. And what got him into it was LeBron's rookie year. Yeah. He was telling us, like, when LeBron was a rookie, he's like, I went out and I bought a ton of stuff. And he's like, I pulled multiple rookie autographs. I think he pulled, like, an SP. And
Holy moly.
A couple other ones. And we're like, Mike, like, literally this first time we were at Mike's like, I'll buy it. He literally, like, pulls $10,000 out of his pocket or something. Like, what are you doing, Mike?
Why do you have that much cash out?
He's like, I got money. You want to and Tom just kind of laughed at us. And we saw him probably maybe 6 months ago was the last time.
Mike pulling out a wad of cash like that. There's a thing known in accounting as internal control.
Yeah. It's
where you set things up to reduce waste and theft.
Yes.
You need to place an internal control on Mike. That is not. Like, I got money. Like, no, that's not the way we do it.
No. And actually, I don't think he actually. I don't think he actually showed it to him. I think he showed it to me. He was like, I got money. I'm like, what? I'm like, how much do you have in your pocket?
No, I will say that I was talking to Steve, and what up, Steve?
What up, Steve?
Not a podcast unless we talk about Steve, although it's not about him. To him, I go, the thing that bothers me the most is how much cash I have on me all the time. It drives me nuts. Yeah. All I want to do is get it in the bank.
Yeah, you get used to it, though. But one of the things as a dealer, like, I'm always worried that I'm going to miss a deal because I don't have the cash. Yeah.
It's so I'm going to have to learn to bring a heck of a lot more cash to car shows now.
Yeah.
But usually I'd be like,
I'll be honest. If you're dealing with a lot of other dealers, like, we operate on such a level of trust with a lot of the guys we sell. I have a guy who comes down, he'll buy $10,000 worth of cards.
Yeah.
He'll pick them out, take them with him, and I'll let him come back a few days later with the money. Like,
right.
I mean, I've done 15 deals with him.
If
probably.
You know a guy well, like me and you, or me and Steve, what up, Steve? I'd be like, he's like, hey, I'll hit you up $500 in 2 weeks when I get paid. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Whatever. Yeah.
I've only known you since 6th grade.
I mean, we can operate on credit with certain guys for sure. I mean,
well, another thing too is like with me and you is like we've developed a trust over so many years too. Like I hold a lot of your property for consignment, and then. Are
you threatening ransom? Or?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Like, yes.
You don't bring me my money. You know what's gonna happen to your jersey.
You won't get your jersey.
But no, son. It's just like that. It's like, and same with Steve. Like I left cards at his house since we were kids, like for a month. I'm like, oh hey, do you have my card? Oh yeah, they're right there. I'm like, And
it blows me away. Like when I first got into the hobby, I was like, I mean, I'm still like, I try to be wise, like, and like. Discerning of like their deals can go bad. Like we've had one or two scenarios, but like one thing you notice, even in high-end cards and when there's a lot of money, it's like the hobby as a whole operates on trust, like a massive level of trust. Like there's people, and if someone vouches for someone, like it's a done deal. Like I can trust this person.
Where stuff gets around too, even if you haven't done anything illegal, or wrong. Like I've heard of a couple dealers with like. When he tells you prices, you got to look up the prices.
Yeah.
Like the prices he's saying are not ever correct.
Right.
And they're always in his favor.
Yeah.
And so you get a reputation for that, where he's not necessarily doing anything criminal or fraudulent. I mean, you could argue maybe it's a little fraudulent.
But I'll say
this. But it's like you got to look up.
Our relationship would change if I somehow did that to you once. You'd be like, what the heck?
Well, no. If you did it to me once, it would be like you didn't realize the price. But if you do it every time, 100 times in a row, then that's just who you are.
It's a pattern of who you are.
It's like, oh, and we could still deal, right? Yeah. But you would go, hey, that's worth 100. And then, it's probably worth 20. And I'll go look it up, right? Because that's just how you are.
Right.
And so so you can still deal with those people. For sure. Because they do the same thing every time.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wouldn't call it like outright wrong, something like that. But it's like, if he says something, just a grain of salt.
For sure.
It's probably worth $1.
So I got to finish with this story, man. This story is great. So the other day, a buddy comes into the shop, and he's like, hey, I got to tell you this story. Like, somehow we got talking, and he's like, so I hear this story from there's these two other shops in town. I'm not going to name them, but the story goes like this. This guy comes into the shop, and he's got his hood up, and this is early part of COVID. He's got a mask on. He's got his like hood up, and he comes in with this 2-row box of cards, and he hands it to the guy at the counter, the owner. He's like, hey, man, are these worth anything? Like kind of weird. Like, I was like, okay, I'll look at it. He starts looking through this guy's box, and it's a 2-row graded box, and it's like PSA 10 Prism Luca. rookie, and then it's like a PSA 10 silver Luka, and then it's
Okay.
like Trae Young, and then he gets to the back, and it's like RP. The last card in the box is a National Treasures Zion RPA to 99 BGS 9. We're talking a $50,000 card, right? And this dealer goes, "Wow, like these are
you
these
got
are
a lot
like
of really good cards there.
holy cow, where'd you?" And then he starts asking him some questions,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
normal.
I
Like
would ask
you
some
and I have been on there.
questions.
He goes, "It's like, where'd you get these?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, my uncle just died in Florida, and he just mailed them me, and I don't know if they're worth anything." And he's like, "I took them to this other store in town, and like I asked the guy, like, hey, what are these worth?" And the guy, so the guy is holding a card in his hand. It's like a PSA 10 Luka.
Yeah.
And he goes, this other guy offered me $1,500, and he goes, $1,500 for this card, and he's holding one card.
Yeah.
He goes, "No, for the whole box."
Oh my God.
And the guy goes, "Sir,
What's
like,
the Zion worth?
is it-
What's the
50,000.
that Zion's worth 50,000?
Yeah,
Oh,
50,000.
for Christ's
So he
sake.
goes,
Okay.
"Sir,"
I thought it was worth 8.
he goes, "I'm really interested in these cards, but honestly, man, you need to go do some research. Like,
Right,
you
right.
have some incredibly valuable
That's
cards."
stuff I have said that.
And
yeah.
and like he goes, I want you to like figure out what you have here, and the guy goes, and then the guy takes down his hood,
Yeah.
pulls off his mask, and he goes, "Hi, I'm Josh Donaldson for the Minnesota Twins." And
What?
and he shakes the guy's hand,
No way.
and he goes, "Every time I come into a new card market, I always try to find out who's honest in the hobby."
Oh, no, yeah.
And literally, he proceeds to break a case of National Treasures basketball for $20,000.
Jeez.
And he gets pictures with all the guys in this
No.
shop. But I'll say this much: the other shop that offered him
Yeah.
$1,500
Oh, that's so nuts.
for this is not even being conservative, a $250,000
Yeah.
box of cards.
I mean, that's why I just asked you what the Zion was worth. I was like, that's
and
gotta be a
literally,
10 grand card.
like, it made it very clear for Donaldson, obviously, like, who can I trust and who
Right.
can't, And I wish he would have came in at our shop, because
No, I wish you would have came in my shop.
Because I literally would have told him, like, this is worth this much. We would sell it for you. We would
Yeah.
buy it for this much, or like.
Well, I would have said, I'm a new shop. I'm gonna have to call my buddy Clint, but I think we can sit down, go through what the values are,
Yeah.
and come up with a price.
Right.
But I've already done that with Pokemon, where it's like we've gone through it where people had old
Yeah.
first edition stuff, and I go through it with them on
And tell
eBay.
them-
It's like,
And you educate them.
but
Like
we talked about this for the podcast. I said I don't mind. I don't losing out on a purchase
No.
means nothing to me
For sure.
and that's why when I make offers, I'll say X, and then somebody goes, "Oh, I need X plus this." All right, we don't have to do the deal. Like
Right.
like if you wouldn't have came in, no
Yeah.
difference would have happened.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's
Hey,
really
and to
bad.
that- and-
1,500.
And to that point, this is actually something cool too. So Donaldson's been a collector for a long time, and he's gotten a lot of people into collecting, other players.
Hey, were you holding that story? Because I asked the question about the.
I thought I told that story.
Oh, that's funny.
I literally thought I told that story like a long time ago.
No,
So, because I heard this story probably in like June or something. It happened in like May, like right before the Twins started the season. So like,
for the second time.
do you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
they were off and they were like,
Maybe starting up
they were
the-
in town.
yeah.
Yeah. So, long story short, this is a rumor on the street, and I'm pretty sure it's confirmed through a guy I know that one of our buddies, and I could ask him actually, I just haven't texted him. He sold the Luka. Do we talk about this? The Luka Gold Prism Rookie
No.
PSA 10.
Holy
So a
smokes.
customer of ours sold it, and it sold for $200,000.
Wow.
He turned down. I had a buddy from New York who called asking about this card, and he offered him like $165,000. This was like in the spring, and my buddy like laughed at it. He's like, not even close. And he just sold it for $200,000.
Your buddy lives in a different world than I do.
Here's the funny part.
I might have turned it down, but I wouldn't have laughed.
You know the guy I'm talking about. You saw his Jordan or his LeBron Black. That's
Yeah.
the guy who sold it. So anyway, this customer of ours, supposedly the card got bought by Max Kepler.
Oh yeah.
The outfielder for
Very
the Twins,
cool.
which I'm interested to know if he's connected to Donaldson and that's what got him into collecting. Or,
Oh, by the way, I do have a card coming back from PSA from one of Damien's friends. What's up,
Okay.
Damien?
What up?
He's got I sent off the PSA for him. I sent my Zion cracked ice lottery ticket.
Nice.
And then, but he had I'm gonna get the year wrong. What year was he with the Wizards?
Who?
Jordan. He.
Uh,
I said he. You know who I'm talking about.
01, 02, 03?
I think 02, 03 top chrome black refractor.
02 Topps Chrome. No, I'm sorry. No, he wasn't there in 03 because Jordan's not in 03 Chrome.
So
2001 and 2. So like 01,
yeah,
02,
so one of the two,
and
he's got
01.
the black refractor.
Oh my.
At PSA right now. You want me to send him your way if it comes back? I
Yes,
kind of
please.
figured.
What'd you think of it centering?
I thought it'd be a 9.
9. Wow, it's numbered to
I
500.
mean, that's a big card. No.
It's numbered to 500, right?
No, it's numbered to
Oh, that year they're
50.
That year they're numbered different.
numbered to 100.
03 they're numbered to 500.
It's like 100.
So 02 they're numbered to 100.
Yeah.
Wow, super.
Dude,
exciting.
I'll show it to you when we're done taping.
Wow, that's awesome. Man.
When we're off air.
When we're off
air. I had to remember what I said.
Keep that one.
When we're off air, I'll show it to you. But I'm pretty sure Clint's gonna be in this.
Well, I'm excited for us. Those of you guys listening, again, we're going to ask you guys to subscribe to this podcast so that we can start going live. One of the reasons I want to go live is we have a guy. One of our customers is Toby Artigue, the Fox 9 news analyst. So he came and did that deal for Fox about the Jordan documentary.
Right.
And he got hooked on cards. And so now he's
awesome.
ripping cards. So he was in with his mom, who's from Louisiana, in the shop the day after Christmas, and he was telling us a story about hunting for wax, and like he collects burro because he's from Louisiana, likes LSU or whatever. And I'd love to go live and like he literally he went from really knowing nothing about it, he said not being into it, to like filming that documentary, realizing there was things, and now he's like full.
Well, you know what'd be cool is like
I see him like once a week.
I haven't had one yet, but like every once in a while you get like an athlete that comes to the shop and you can like, hey, can we go live with you? Answer a couple questions
for sure,
and then rip him some stuff.
I even gave Hobie a card because he worked. So he does the show pre-game for the Vikings with Ron Johnson.
Yeah.
I gave him a Ron Johnson autograph.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I said, give this to. He's like, oh, I'm gonna give this to Ron. He gave it to Ron on air.
Yeah.
And Ron's
like, awesome.
And Ron literally goes, I remember signing these because it was like a piece of football, and there was like 299 of them. He goes, yeah, the guy came, and he told the whole story about how the rep for Upper Deck brought him to their hotel, and they started signing, and how much they paid him, and like the whole deal. Which
that's awesome.
I thought I was like, how cool is that?
Oh, okay. So we're gonna end on this then. Wow, there's a lot of stuff that keep bleeding into other things. So
that's great.
I'm on TikTok, and I'm looking, and then Shaq has an account, right? Mm-hmm. And Shaq goes, he goes, let me tell you how I spent $1 million in one day.
Nice.
He said, but this is the part that I caught my attention. That he got $1 million check from a trading card company, and then he proceeds to buy 3 Mercedes-Benz in like 45 minutes.
Wow.
He bought one. Like, I think it was longer than that, but the way he tells the story is like he bought one for himself.
Yep.
And he got home and his dad like, hey, where's mine? He's like, oh, okay. And then he went and bought a second one. His mom's like, hey, I didn't get one. She's like, oh, okay. And then the whole premise of it was like, my financial planner sat me down, called me up, and was like, you got to stop doing this.
Yeah.
And like these athletes.
You can't buy 3 of everything.
Yeah, he's like, these athletes burn through their money. And then, so Shaq's actually a really good entrepreneur and investor
for sure.
now. But like,
very
my question is, what trading card company? I think I know which one, and it's not the one I immediately thought of.
I immediately would have said Upper Deck, but you don't.
Yeah,
you think it was Classic?
I think it was Classic.
Classic, because I was gonna say if it's not Upper Deck, it's Classic. But I'm like, Classic. Did they sign
at first?
that much?
First, I thought it had to be Upper Deck. But then Shaq wasn't a spokesperson for Upper Deck.
No, and he was.
But
the
he
feature
had that
of the
feature
Classic.
in Classic for Sport.
And he signed all those. Those autographs are some of the earliest pack pulled. He actually had the wood set.
Yep.
Where you got the gold sign card, and that was like a big.
He was one of their 4 spokespeople.
Phil Nevin was one.
Yeah,
of the
Phil
ones.
Nevin, because there's that set.
It's him, Phil Nevin.
That Chris showed us. What's up, Chris?
Wasn't it the female goalie?
Man and Rahoon?
Rayon.
But yeah, so I think it's Classic. But I thought I'd pose that.
That's interesting. That's interesting that
$1
he got
million,
which is. That was a lot.
He signed a lot of autographs though for that.
But cards were booming pretty good.
Oh yeah,
they
were.
I mean, that was.
But I would bet Shaq signed 10,000 autographs.
Well, there's one set that we have an on-card Classic Auto at PSA, and I think that card's numbered over 5,000.
Yeah.
It's hand numbered.
Oh, it might be 20.
It's like 53.61 or something weird.
Yeah, then it's like $50 an auto. It's not that much.
And I would guess they gave.
Because even back then, Shaq could get $100 with an auto.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, some of Shaq's autos might have been worth more than.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I mean, like an 8x10 Shaq now is JS8. It's probably only 120.
Yeah, but a early pack pulled rookie high grade,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
sure.
that's definitely.
I'm actually excited to get that one back from PSA because I'm like, man, Shaq stuff.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, stuff's doing real well. All right, I think that's it for us tonight.
Well, that's a wrap.
or whenever you're listening to it.